2. Part 2, whatever. What I like about The Equalizer is that he's very dedicated. That's the definition of this movie, dedication. He's dedicated to his work and people. He's like the humanitarian I want to exist. Like, he does do controversial methods to make people say, okay, I'll do this. But at the end of the day, he's the hero. He's like the ultimate hero of the 2010s. In fact, I would like to see a crossover between The Equalizer and John Wick. This is something that I kind of thought of when I saw John Wick and then The Equalizer. And then when John Wick 2 came out, I was like, what if these two worked side by side? The Equalizer 3 or John Wick 3. I can actually see a possibility here. But anyways, one thing I like about The Equalizer 2, we learn more about Robert McCall's past. Not as a Black Ops agent, but as a husband. We don't quite know how his wife passed away, unfortunately. I would have liked to have known more, but either way, we just know that he still misses his wife. He likes to befriend as much people as he can. Befriends people in his apartment, even teaches a young teenager something important. There's a there's a noticeable scene when he's teaching a young man from his apartment. His name is Miles. And this young man is involved with people that he probably should never be involved with. What Robert McCall does is he teaches Miles, this is not the life you need. These people are really using you. And personally, we need people like that to tell us, hey, be careful of the people you're hanging out with. They're actually not your friends. They say they are, but they're not. And that's one of the lessons that I picked up from this movie. Be careful who you befriend. They could be using you. The biggest part I like about the last two Equalizer films was the final battle. Like, oh, this was 2 hours in the making, and I love the final fight. Who doesn't like a final fight for a movie? Okay, some might be boring, some might be letdowns. This one was not a letdown. This one was like, yeah, that was great. The problem I had, though, with Equalizer 2 is that it was sort of a repeat from the first one. However, Robert McCall has a completely different job. He's not at Home Depot anymore. He's at a different job. He's a driver. And he gets to know some of his regulars. One noticeable regular of his was trying to find his sister after they were separated during the war. But I can't spoil what happens. He also helps his neighbor with her gardening. So, same thing like in the original. He's loyal and good to his co-workers. Robert McCall is just the ultimate neighbor you want to have. But anyways, how will I rate this? It's worth watching again. Second big problem that I had, well, maybe not big, but maybe tiny, and that is that there was just so many bad guys, and you don't know who the main villain is. You don't know, like, is he the main villain? No, he's the secondary villain, and this character is the main villain. Okay, this makes sense. So, for future, I might watch this again, but just because I want to see or catch the twists and turns. Not as much as Atomic Blonde, but still twists and turns. But in other words, I enjoyed the movie, and I will give this movie 7.5 out of 10 film cameras. So it's worth watching. Watch The Equalizer 1 first before watching this one, because it just makes sense to watch the first one before the next. Otherwise, you're going to be like, who's who? But enjoy. Mr. Blue's here for you.